Master of Science in Foreign Service, MSFS, is the longest-standing professional master's degree in the Walsh School of Foreign Service at Georgetown University. Its goal is to prepare women and men to be creative leaders in the public, private, and nonprofit sectors of international affairs. In keeping with the vision of the school's founder, Father Edmund A. Walsh, MSFS seeks to instill in its students a commitment to service in the international community and an appreciation for the ethical dimension of international affairs. The MSFS program has 4 core values. These values are present not only in the courses offered by its faculty, but in the activities students are engaged in, the careers MSFS alumni pursue, and the lives that MSFS community members lead.
I'm going to define creativity within the context, within a particular context, and it's the ability, flexibility, or the agility, being able to use combine multiple things in order to solve problems. So it's not creativity in the abstract, it's creativity in actually being able to solve problems.
I think we're lucky because our students are naturally creative thinkers. I think that's why we've been selected for this program. But oftentimes in class, every class you go in, you're going to see the professor frequently push students further.
I think there's 2 dimensions of how creativity plays a role in the MSFS program. The first is the design of the program itself, and that is that it's designed to be an interdisciplinary program. So we draw from a number of different academic disciplines and professional disciplines.
I think some of the best leaders in the world have been able to come up with really creative, outside-the-box thinking in how they approach new problems or old problems. And I don't think that it's necessarily emphasized enough in many programs, but here at MSFS there is emphasis on being able to not feel confined to just the realm of normal or what is regular.
If you look at the career trajectories, many alums, they're not linear. We have alums that will start in the private sector and then they'll migrate into the public sector and then they'll do some development work. That requires creativity because it requires the ability to take what they've learned in one particular career track and leverage it and apply it to another career track.
I sometimes see that little light come on some of the students like, oh, I never thought of that before.
Leadership is a very difficult concept to define. Some people would say you know a leader when you see him or her. I think ideally what a leader is a person with a vision.
Students actually get to practice leadership when they're here, so whether it's leading a student activity or facilitating a class project or a study group, things like that that give people a chance to, in a fairly safe environment, practice stepping up into leadership.
Leadership is very important in MSFS. It's an important core value because the students that come to MSFS, many of them are natural leaders, many of them have already had a tremendous amount of leadership experience, but they need something extra. They need an opportunity to hone their leadership skills. They need an opportunity to be able to interact with others in leadership settings.
It can be challenging in some ways because you've got all of these leaders, and whenever you throw them into a group, you know, they all just automatically assume, oh, okay, I'm going to start leading now.
So 3 things: a vision, being able to build a consensus around that vision, and being able to build a plan to bring people to realize that vision.
To recognize that you have strengths, you have weaknesses, you need other people that are bright and capable. You have the opportunity to see your weaknesses, but also to see how, you know, maybe it's easier to work on your own, but I think that the product that you generate is much better as a group.
And so what we want to try to do at MSFS is provide that opportunity, to provide, if you will, that crucible where they can hone their skills and develop and become better leaders, so that when they leave here, they can go into the public sector, or the private sector, or the nonprofit sector, and have a better feel for what it means to be a leader.
That, I think, is in the DNA of this program. It is a central component of this program.
Service, I would think, is not necessarily going for the best offer, but going where you can do the most good. And I think at Georgetown, we get a lot of that.
I see it every day when I walk through the MSFS student lounge. On my way up to this office, I come through there and you always see that lounge is never empty, and it's always got groups of people huddled together. They're helping each other.
And I think that being one of our core values and seeing MSFS people end up in a lot of different places, hopefully that will stick with all of us and we can do things in places that you wouldn't necessarily see service.
The emphasis in the program of crossing borders, we are highly diverse in terms of our disciplinary backgrounds, our educational traditions, our national backgrounds, our language, our professional experience. And you can't survive, much less thrive in MSFS if you aren't figuring out how to reach across those borders and how to connect with people. And in doing that, you're learning something about service and international affairs, building the networks of collaboration, cooperation.
Because if you're doing finance, service there would be, how are my investments making things better? How am I just going for the bottom line, or am I looking out for everybody and maybe losing 0.5%, but everybody's better off?
None of us goes through life entirely on our own. We all depend on other people to help us at various points in our lives. And service is the dedication of your talent and your skills to helping other people.
And it's service to one another is as important as service to the community. And so I think the best part is that we all know that we're here and that we're here to get the best grades, but at the end of the day, we're all willing to help each other more than we worry about getting an A or an A-.
I think that service really should be seen as I say, using your talents and your skills and your energies wherever they may be, because we don't all have the same talents, skills, and same level of energy all the time.
Ethics is a crucial part of what we learn at MSFS.
Lowercase e ethics, something that's an everyday consideration. It's part of the critical thinking. When you're making choices, it's about how to set priorities, how to weigh between values.
You have a lot of discussion in international relations about interests, nations' interests, countries' interests, people's interests. And I think that ethics is the way that we balance interests as defined in quantitative ways, economic or physical with military force and whatnot, with how you balance interests that are more qualitative. And that can mean everything from human rights and human dignity to equality and justice and poverty alleviation.
I want to make people a little uncomfortable in the classroom, and through that discomfort I think they may actually have sharper ability to make decisions later in life, their own decisions.
In MSFS, you've got ethics as a general way of thinking about decision making, but then of course you've got people who have different ideas as to what's right and wrong. And I don't think that those two things are incompatible.
Yes, people come from all sorts of different cultures, different religions, some rather hard-boiled and pragmatic, some very human rights oriented, they have some bleeding hearts, but I do try and explore, and we try and explore, that there are some things that are fundamental, some things that are universal.
MSFS values are a set of fundamental shared beliefs. They are closely linked to the school's founder, Father Edmund A. Walsh, and they form the guiding principles on which the Master of Science in Foreign Service is based. Our values guide everything we do and apply to all members of the MSFS community. They play a critical role in how we operate and in our continued success.
In order for someone to be a leader, they have to understand what it is to be led. People will leave MSFS and they'll go into different places. No one's going to leave MSFS and be the Secretary General of the UN immediately. At least it hasn't happened yet. No one's going to leave MSFS and become Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. So they're going to go into positions where they will have both people that are working for them, people whom they are leading, but they will also have to be reporting to others. And so in order for them to be an effective leader of others, they have to understand what it is to report, what it is to be led, what it is to work as part of a team. And as they move in different positions to, say, higher levels of leadership, the experience of having been a follower, having been able to work with a leader, will help them be better leaders, better managers, better able to set the vision and have people come to work realization of that vision.